Hey everyone, I'd like to talk about trust in this video. I recently rewatched Raya and the Last Dragon, which is one of the more recent Disney movies. And of course, I highly recommend it because I'm going to talk about it here. And the main message in the movie was trust. And so it got me to think a lot about trust and like what is actually trust. And in the movie, it like beautifully depicted kind of the world as kind of how the world is right now. A bunch of separate groups or cultures or countries or whatever parties who are just against one another. And they're blaming one another and they just want to fight one another. And of course they don't trust one another. And the main message is trust, but it's to give the trust. If you want there to be trust in the world, then you need to trust others. You need to give that trust if you want it. Let it come back to you. And so really, this movie is talking about one of the most basic laws of life or laws of the universe, which is giving and receiving, which that they're the same thing actually. And that's talking about the law of cause and effect as well. So, the hummingbird just flew by. So whatever you give is what you get. And it's hard for us to really realize this with our own life, because what this means is that we take 100% responsibility for all of our actions and for everything that comes to us in life. And there's a great line in the movie that really stuck out to me. And the main character, Raya, is talking to this dragon named Sisu. And Raya goes, "The world is broken. You can't trust anyone." And Sisu goes, "Maybe the world is broken because you don't trust anyone." And I was like, yes. There's so much wisdom in that statement. Because, I mean, I'm sure we all can relate to looking at the world right now and saying, oh my God, that's so messed up, that's so messed up, that's so horrible. And what that statement is saying, that Sisu said, is maybe it's not the world that's the problem or the number one problem. Maybe the number one thing that we need to really look at is our perception of the world. Because of course, if I think everything's messed up, then that's what I'm going to see. But if I change my perception, if I heal my perception of what's going on around me, which is basically not saying that things around me is wrong. If I'm calling things around me wrong or shouldn't be this, shouldn't be that, then I'm not trusting that the universe or God or spirit, whatever you want to call it, I'm not trusting that that metaphysical power is doing its job correctly. I'm saying, you got it wrong, spirit, you got it wrong, God. And that's a big problem, because who am I to say that? I don't know shit compared to spirit and God and the universe. So giving our trust just to life is at the fundamental level just trusting that what's happening right now is exactly what should be happening. It's exactly perfect. Even if there is a lot of death or violence or lies or deceit, that's what's supposed to be happening. And so then from that place, then how can I move in the world and create change to create more harmony? But if my foundation is that this world is already messed up and all this stuff that's happening is so horrible, well then how empowered of action can I actually take going out into the world? I'll just be afraid as I act in the world, and I'll be forceful, and I'll try to manipulate things to fit my version of how reality should be. And so also in the movie, there's the one group, and they're from the land of Fang, and they're kind of like the ones that everyone especially blames. It's like, you know, if they could all gang up on one, they would gang up on Fang. And they blame Fang. And so there's a point in the movie where there's this opportunity that for all of them to come together, they have these pieces they could that can all bring together, and they could basically heal the entire world. But Fang doesn't want to do that because they know that everyone else blames them. And so because they feel like they're blamed, they don't trust anybody else, of course, and they don't want to take that step. And it got me thinking about that as well. So if we blame somebody else for doing something, basically I think what that's saying is that we don't trust our ability to be with the current circumstance as it is, but instead we're going to blame somebody or something or some group for what happened and say it's your fault, you're the reason why this is happening. And basically when I do that, I'm giving all of my responsibility to them, which means I'm giving all of my power away to them. And that's a big problem. Now I'm disempowered, and now I can't really make any significant change in the world for the better. But then, how easily does trust that creep into our lives? Like, let's just say that you're working with somebody in the kitchen or something like that. Okay, but this could be like, if you're working with someone at work, like if you're like a manager or a supervisor or whatever, if you're in the garden, and you're asking somebody to help you out or they want to help you out, and you give them a task to go and do it. And it's like a really simple task. Like, let's go to the kitchen and be like, hey, could you chop up these carrots for me? And maybe in our heads we're like, the carrots need to be chopped this way. If they're not chopped this way, then this dinner is going to be ruined. Dramatic, I know, but we are dramatic. And then we send them off with the task, and then we're constantly like, they're kind of looking over their shoulder, making sure they're doing it right. And we're like, hey, don't cut it like that, cut it like this. And so we're not trusting them to do their job. Basically what we want them to do is exactly what we want them to do or what we think is right. But as we delegate, little tasks and jobs and ask for help, I've found that it's a lot more relaxing and a lot more empowering for the other person too, if you trust them to do their job in the way that they want to do it, because maybe they have a way that can actually teach you something, teach me something too. And so there's another part in the movie where Sisu and her maybe like 4 or 5 brothers and sisters who have these like amazing dragon powers, they're like super amazing, they all give their powers to Sisu, and Sisu doesn't think much of herself, and she's like, why are you giving it to me? I don't know why you're choosing me. But she said that because they trusted her with all this power and basically to save the world, it filled her tremendously with power, and she felt so empowered beyond all belief that she was able to carry out what they wanted her to do, but they completely trusted her to do it, and they just hands off and gave it to her completely. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that, because let's talk about worry as well. It's so common to mistake that our worrying for somebody is showing love, actually. I mean, I've talked to so many people, and they think that they have to worry about somebody else to show that they care. But if you just think about your life, how does it feel when someone is worried about you? You don't want anybody to worry about you, because when they're worried, it means that basically they're feeling afraid, they're feeling stressed out, they're feeling uneasy, and basically they're worrying that you are not going to be able to do it correctly, or that you will not be okay. So they're not trusting you at all. They're doubting your ability. They're having no faith in you to do what you're trying to do. And so not only now are we worried about their worry, but now we don't have support from somebody else. And then it's easy to start just like kind of doubting and questioning ourselves. Well, shit, if this person who's like maybe my mom or dad or my brother or something like that, if this person who I love so much doesn't even trust me to do this, can I even do this? Should I even trust myself? And there was someone really close to me in my life who like had a rough stretch and just did a lot of things that turned out being really difficult for him and gave him some very difficult circumstances in life. As I was trying to help him, I realized that whenever he would say something like, I want to do this, I'm going to do that, this and that, all the time, my first reaction would be, oh, that's stupid. Oh, that's not going to work. That's a horrible idea. And then, although I wouldn't say that out loud every time, I'll probably say it in like a nicer kind of way. I wouldn't support him in what he was doing. I was worried that he was going to fail. And so when I started to realize that, I was like, okay, so I don't like that when people don't trust me and when people worry about me. I like it when people just allow me to do my thing, try, fail. Because when we try and we fail or get hurt, that's how we learn the most. And this is really, really, really especially a hard lesson that I've observed because I'm not a parent, a really hard lesson for parents to learn. We want to protect our kids or our family, or our friends from ever feeling any pain or going through a difficult circumstance. But we need to trust that they can get through it and that actually them going through it is serving them a really, really great purpose and lesson in life. And so back to my friend, I started to hear what he was saying and try to drop my judgment of it, because of course I wouldn't do it, but that's okay. And I would actually consider it, be like, oh, okay, yeah, so that's what you want to do? Yeah, go for it, see what happens. And so I would tell him, yeah, I trust you to do it, go for it, see what happens. And so not only did that give him more empowerment to make his own decision, because if somebody is pushing against you and trying to get you to not do something, it's actually probably going to make you do that thing even more just in spite of that person. So you're not actually making your own decision at that point. You're just doing it because you want to prove them wrong. But if somebody agrees with you and be like, yeah, totally, then it's all up to you. It's all in your hands. It's all like, okay, well, so now is this actually a good idea? So then he started to think for himself a little bit more. And sometimes he wouldn't actually even go and do that thing. And he would say, yeah, I realized it wasn't really that great of an idea anyway. Or he would go and do it and he would succeed maybe. And I'd be like, fuck yeah, I was wrong about that. Or he would fail. But it'd be so much easier for me to support him because at the beginning I supported him. So there's so much going on here. And yeah, trust. So can we have a little bit more trust in life? That maybe everything that's happening right now in the world is exactly what is supposed to be happening. Maybe all the lessons that we receive in life, all the difficulties, maybe all the lessons that everyone else in our life receives, all the difficulties and challenges, maybe that's exactly what they need right now. And maybe they have exactly what it takes to learn that lesson. Will they? I don't know. But if we can show them that we believe in them to do it, well, I don't see how that's going to do anything but help them out. And if you want something, give that thing. If you want people to trust you, trust them. Not blind trust. Think about it, but trust them. If you want people to respect you, respect them. If you want people to be kind to you, be kind to them. All these things. If you want people to listen to you and be interested in you, listen to others and be interested in others. This is something that you can really test in your life now. You can test this in your life at any moment and you'll really see results very quickly. Actually, I'll just share a personal story before I end here. So I'm on the topic of giving and receiving. So about a year ago, I was struggling with my relationship with my father. And I went to one of my mentors, teachers, and friends, and I was talking to her, and I was like, yeah, my dad just isn't interested in me. Like, he never talks to me. He never asks me how my day was or what I'm doing in life. He doesn't listen to what I'm saying. And she listened to it, all of it, and then she goes, okay, so that's all the stuff that you want from your dad, but what do you want for your dad? And I was like, oh, wow, that's so true. I'm just thinking about all that I want from him. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, actually, all these things that I'm wanting from him, I want those things for him. I want him to feel interested in, like I'm interested in him. I want him to feel listened to and heard. And so I thought, okay, this is a great opportunity. So I made it a deliberate practice for the next couple weeks to listen to him, what he's saying. So when he comes home from work, how was your day? And listen to how his day was. And take interest in him. And so as I started to do this, what I found to be really interesting is that I forgot about wanting these things from him. I forgot about, oh, my dad's not interested in me, he never listens to me, my dad doesn't love me, all those things. I forgot about that stuff because I was so interested in giving those things to my dad. And the craziest part is that after, I noticed that these things I wasn't wanting or feeling like I needed anymore, my dad one day comes up to me and asks me for advice about something. And I just laughed inside. I was like, this is ridiculous. So try it. In a relationship in your life that maybe isn't working so well, just take some time and think about, what is this person not giving me? What am I wanting from this person? What am I expecting from this person? And then identify that thing and then honestly evaluate, am I giving that to them with no expectations? Am I giving this thing to them because I know how valuable it is to give to somebody? And then, if you want, make it a practice and give that thing to that person. No expectations. Just test it out and see what happens. I bet you that your mind will be blown. All right, everyone. Lots of peace and love, and see you next time.